Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And in today's range report, we're going to be taking a look at and shooting another firearm from LMT, or Lewis Machine and Tool. You're probably familiar with this company if you have been watching my channel for any length of time, as I have reviewed quite a few other guns from them, but also they are well known in the gun community for making high quality firearms and having police and military contracts all over the world, most notably with New Zealand and Estonia. And the gun that we will be taking a look at today is the MRP-L Specwar. This has a 12.5-inch barrel. It was designed in collaboration with a few special forces, and it has a few differences from the standard Mars L platform guns that you might be more familiar with, and we'll go over some of those differences. This is in a factory OD green finish, and it is one of 150. And as I will be reviewing it today, it is a braced pistol. I think many people that would purchase this firearm would probably fill out the ATF Form 1 and turn it into an SBR. But before we get this gun to the range, shoot it, and see what it's all about, I always want to thank the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this really cool firearm. He's a local fan and subscriber. His name is D, and he has lent quite a few other guns to the channel, so thank you once again, D. I always want to thank my Patreon supporters, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I could not do this without their support. And if you guys want to join my Patreon, there's a link in the description below. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and you get to see all of these videos early. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor, who provides all of the ammunition for these range reports and makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And here we are once again reviewing another top-tier firearm, and most likely if you're watching a video like this, you have a collection of them yourself. You probably own a Colt 1911, a Browning High Power, a CZ75, or a Beretta 92, just to name a few. And these pistols take wood panel grips, and you might be in the market for a set of custom wood grips to make your firearms unique and one of a kind. Well, I have the perfect grip company for you. Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Mark is an artist and he's a craftsman. He's always coming up with new and innovative features to add to his grips. He can apply custom logos, custom engravings, custom textures. He can finish these grips in a wide variety of colors, and he can even apply exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin to make them unique and one of a kind. Every set of grips he makes is made to order. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comment section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. And I'm going to ask you to go over there and see everything he has to offer. And when you place that order for your first set of custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so once again, let's talk about the really cool firearm we have on the table today. A 1 of 150 LMT MRP-L Specwar 12.5. So there's a lot of information in that name. It's a little bit different than the standard Mars L platform guns that you see. MRP stands for the monolithic rail platform. And as you can see, the rail is milled into the upper receiver, and that gives us a lot of stability. One of the big differences with this firearm from other guns that are in the LMT lineup, they have omitted the QD sling attachment points at the front and made the rail a little bit longer. This gun also utilizes a mid-length gas system. It is chambered in 5.56. And it is just another high quality gun from LMT that was made in collaboration with a military force. And that's just what they're known for doing. They have so many contracts around the world, and they produce high quality firearms that are desired by police and militaries. So I really can't wait to get this to the range. So as always, before we take this to the range and shoot it, I like to talk about the things that I like and don't like. And I always want to start with the positive first. And the first thing I love about this gun is that it is an LMT. Not only does LMT build high quality firearms, they're a company that I think focuses more on the function of the gun than the aesthetics. We have many custom AR companies today that make very pretty rifles. However, LMT sticks to their roots and they make guns that simply work. Yes, they can look really cool, but from a distance, this mainly looks like a mil-spec AR-15. Once you get closer, you realize there are a few upgrades, but they're not trying to make a pretty rifle. They're trying to make a rifle that runs and is reliable, and that is pretty much what they do all the time. And being someone like myself that loves to study the mechanics of guns, I love that aspect of LMT. I also really like the fact that this is one of their monolithic rail platform guns. As I showed you just a moment ago, the rail is built into the upper receiver. So you do not have to worry about awkward attachments when it comes to the rail. You don't have to worry about it coming off. This is going to be a very stable platform, especially if you're running optics or trying to sight in lasers. It's just going to be a rock solid platform. I also like the fact this gun has a 12.5-inch barrel. Now, I really do like SBRs. But as I've gotten older, I have moved away from the shorter stuff. I really feel like 10.5 inches is simply too short, but 12.5 is a perfect balance. It's long enough to give you pretty good ballistics. It also lowers the report of the weapon. It lowers the flash, but it's more manageable than, let's say, a 16-inch carbine. So it's still a pretty darn compact weapon. The last thing I really like about this gun is something I pretty much like on every LMT that I shoot, and that is the trigger. They just make fantastic triggers for their guns right out of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera, get out the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge, and I'm going to show you what this trigger is all about. And as I mentioned, this is a limited production firearm, and they're probably putting in some of their best triggers. In fact, I'm 100% sure the trigger that you see here is a Geissele trigger. Now, this is the trigger that comes in this firearm, and you can double check. You can go and look at the pictures from the people that sell these, and you'll notice it does have the Geissele trigger and hammer pins in it because there's a little divot in them. You'll also see in some pictures you can see the little G on the trigger. So pretty much anything that comes from Geissele, you know, is going to be pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and safety check this gun. We'll drop the magazine, ensure that there is no ammunition in it, and of course we will visually inspect the chamber, and it looks like we are good. So let's go ahead and start by taking a look at what the trigger pull looks like. Let's get a close-up here, and here is our take-up. It pretty much is a two-stage trigger. That take-up is very light. You come back to a pretty definitive wall, and that is a very light trigger pull. Let's take a look at that again, and here is the reset. Very short, and you have a little bit of take-up, and you're back at that wall. That is really light and very crisp. All right, so let's get out the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge. Let's turn it on. Let's clear the averages. And let's see what this trigger pulls at. For our first pull, we have 3 pounds, 7.4 ounces. Three pounds, 6.4 ounces. 3 pounds, 8.4 ounces. 3 pounds, 7.3 ounces. And finally, 3 pounds, 8.3 ounces, which gives us an average of 3 pounds, 7.6 ounces. And as you can see, the trigger pull on this is pretty light and very consistent. I definitely think a trigger like this in a firearm designed for CQB might be a little bit on the light side for my personal preference, but I think it's going to be a very accurate trigger, and I'm definitely going to be able to shoot this pretty darn fast. Now I want to talk about one thing about this gun that I may not like, but I'm going to have to hold off on my final thoughts on it until I get it to the range, and that is this gun does use a mid-length gas system. So we have the gas block out here, almost at the end of the barrel. Typically, when it comes to firearms this short, I prefer a carbine length gas system because of the dwell time. And the dwell time is the amount of time it takes the projectile to get past the gas block and exit the barrel. And the reason you need a little bit longer dwell time is because you want that pressure to build up so the gun cycles reliably, because it uses that gas to operate the bolt. And sometimes if you don't have a long dwell time, you really have to open up the gas port, and sometimes that will overgas the firearm, and it's a little bit hard to really tune these guns. But LMT does make some great firearms, so they may have perfected it, but we will just have to find out. So now is time to get this to the range, and as always when it comes to any firearm that I can shoulder, and yes, this is a braced pistol, but we are allowed to shoulder it, I'm going to start by setting out the target at 10 yards. I just want to see how this gun shoots, make sure it functions before taking it out to a further distance, and of course, just making sure it's reliable. So let's go to the range and get my initial thoughts and opinions. And I have to say, my initial thoughts with this gun are very positive. This gun is a very shootable CQB style AR-15. Now, I'm not too worried about accuracy because I'm only going to be going out to 25 yards in this range report. And some people are going to say that's not far enough. But I think the philosophy of use of this gun is as a self-defense weapon for your home or to be used in special forces to clear buildings. So I think 25 yards is perfectly adequate for what this gun is designed for. Now, obviously, as I said, it's going to be very accurate. So I'm more testing the shootability of this gun. This gun seems to be well balanced, very well gassed. I'm not feeling anything in my face. And for a small AR-15, it has a very light recoil. And couple that with an outstanding trigger, this is a very shootable firearm. I am very impressed with how it's performing so far. So now let's double the distance on this target, go out to about 20 yards, put another magazine through it, and just see if there's anything else about this gun that I discover that I like or don't like, and I'll report back to you. And pretty much my thoughts are exactly the same as the first magazine. The only thing I'm going to need to adjust is this red dot. Now I will say for my personal shooting preferences when it comes to a firearm like this, especially at 25 yards and shorter, I do prefer iron sights. But I know a lot of you are going to like red dots. But I will have to take a little bit of time and adjust this one. All right, so the next test I want to do is take it out to 25 yards. I want to take as much of the human element out of the equation as possible and just see what the best group I can get with it is. Now, as I said, some people might criticize this review and say you need to be taking that out to 100 or 200 yards. But this really is a CQB style AR-15. So I just want to see what I can do at 25 yards, and I'm expecting an exceptional group. So let's go back to the range and see what happens. And as expected, this has LMT accuracy. And I know if I took this out to 50, 100, 200 yards, it's going to be exceptional. That's just the way all of these LMT guns are. And I can tell this has great range and practical accuracy. And if you're going to be using it in special forces, it's going to be well more than enough. So I'm very pleased with the way this gun is performing, as I mentioned before. I have absolutely zero complaints with it. All right, so the next test I want to do is one of my favorites. It's a shoot fast test, and of course I want to see if I can change this magazine out quickly. Sometimes on these higher end AR-15s I find that the mag wells can be a little bit tight, and it slows me down if you're trying to change that mag out. And being that this gun is designed for CQB operations, I would want it to drop freely. But let's go back to the range, see how fast I can shoot it, get this magazine changed out, and get the gun back in action. And yes, it's pretty obvious I can shoot this gun fast and keep it on target. I wouldn't expect less from an LMT. However, what I wasn't expecting was how fast this magazine was going to shoot out of this gun. And I absolutely love that. I was kind of prepared to half strip it out because many times AR-15 mags stick in most AR-15s. This one ejects right out of the gun quickly, and I absolutely love that. And because this utilizes the Mars L style lower, we also have ambi controls on this side if you want to drop the magazine using the left hand. So that is a great option if you're left-handed or just like to use a different manual of arms with your firearms. All right, so the next test I want to do is not really a test, it's just me wanting to have fun with it. Obviously, I can shoot this gun fast, so I just want to go back to the range and do a complete mag dump with this thing. I want to see how fast I can shoot 30 rounds with this outstanding Geissele trigger. So let's go back to the range, have a little bit of fun, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. And yeah, I can shoot this gun really fast, and that's because this Geissele trigger is absolutely awesome. This gun is simply so much fun. It's so well balanced. It's so shootable. I think it's perfect for what it's designed to be. So what are my final thoughts on the Lewis Machine and Tool MRP-L Specwar 12.5? Well, I have to say this firearm has exceeded my expectations. It has run very reliably, it's very accurate, but what it's designed to be, it is perfect for. It is well balanced, it is well gassed, and so I guess my initial thoughts thinking the mid-length gas system was not going to be good have not come to fruition. So I have to say they've done an outstanding job on this, and it is well built and designed, and I will say, I like that mid-length gas system in this gun. It has a very low recoil for an AR-15, which already has a very low recoil, but there is barely any muzzle rise with this. It is the perfect size for a short AR-15. It is just a great firearm overall and exceeded my expectations in every aspect of this review. It's just a great firearm. Usually I love all of the LMTs that I review, but this one honestly I think is my favorite. So on my star system, how would I rate the LMT MRP-L Specwar? Yeah, you guessed it, it's getting a perfect score. 5 out of 5 stars. This thing is awesome. I have no issues with it whatsoever, and it is one of the nicest small AR-15 style guns I have ever reviewed. So what do you guys think? Do you own any LMTs? Do your experiences with them mirror mine? And do you like a gun of this size? I think it is absolutely perfect. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching. So let's go back to the range and see what the mag dump shows us.